Hi everyone. Today we're going to learn about an artist who makes some really delicious looking paintings. The artist's name is Wayne Thiebaud, and as you can see from this first slide, he's made a beautiful painting of a slice of pie. And you'll see as I click through, all of his paintings are really delicious looking treats. When you get a chance, go to my e-learning page and you can learn a little bit more about Wayne Thiebaud. One of the things that you'll find there is that he liked to focus on the texture, which we've been talking about a little bit. Sometimes when you get real close to his paintings, it almost looks like, especially with the cakes, that you can see icing. This is a perfect example of texture. This paint is really thick. Another painting of his pies. And the last one that I have here is a cake. And that's what we're going to be making today. For this project, the supplies you're going to need, a pencil, pastels. I'm using a dark sheet of paper, a black paper. If you don't have that or the pastels, you can use white paper and crayons. Do whatever you can with whatever you have, okay? And actually, so that you can see what I'm drawing, I'm gonna be using a yellow pencil because I don't think you'll see the regular pencil on the black paper. So what we're gonna start by making a cylinder, because a cake is a cylinder, kind of like a soda can is a cylinder, a glass is a cylinder. Try to think of as many cylinders. A can of spray paint is a cylinder. This right here, this paint is a cylinder, okay? A roll of paper towels is a cylinder, right? So this cake, we're gonna start off by drawing an oval. Okay, and I want you to hold your paper this way. We're gonna make kind of a short cake. We're not gonna make a big tall one. All right, so I'm starting with an oval. It's my cylinder. All right, and then what I'm going to do, I'm gonna go straight down the sides, like this, straight down. And this curve right here is going to be the same down here. Exact same curve. Like that, okay? If you don't get it right the first time, you can always go back and fix it, okay? And then what I'm also going to be doing, I'm gonna be putting this cake on a plate. So you're gonna make another oval. Almost looks like a top hat, to get it on a plate. And you're gonna imagine that this plate continues all the way through and around the back like this, okay? So we're gonna be putting this plate on a table. So the table is gonna be about here. And again, you're gonna imagine it goes straight across and continues on the other side. So this is the wall, this is the table. We've got the plate, we've got the cake. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna make it look like this cake has a slice missing out of it. And I'm gonna just put mine really in the middle. So what I'll do is I'm gonna draw a straight line here, and then another straight line there. And then when you take a slice of cake out, okay, you usually cut. So what we need is a triangle at the top here. Okay. And this triangle has to be the same. So I've got this line. I'm gonna make it the same line like this. And this line, and I'm gonna come down here and make the same like this, okay? And I'll just draw a line straight down the middle like that. Okay, so that's the slice missing. So you can go back, you can erase here, you can erase there, but you don't really have to because we're going to be coloring it. I'm also going to make this cake look like it has 2 layers with some icing in the middle. So the same line here, I'm going to draw a line like this, and another one. That's the icing in the middle. And then same thing here, like this. All right, so our next step is to add the toppings, and you can do whatever you want with this cake. You can make it striped around the outside. I'm gonna try to keep it a little bit simple. So I'm gonna do some icing around the top and just making a wavy line. Making it look like it kind of stands up and goes out, okay? And then I'm also gonna make a wavy line here, but I'm gonna stop right here because that's where the cake was sliced into. So over here, continue my wavy line, like that. And then I'm also going to add a wavy line here. So this is the frosting. And I'm gonna stop right straight here because this is where the cake was cut. Maybe like that, okay. Same thing over here, all right? And now, the only other thing that I wanna add, I am going to add a line right here and right here. Okay, so next step is whatever you want to put on the top. You can do, you know, circles. You could put candles on this cake if you want. I'm going to put just a few cherries. 2, 3, 4. And to make my cherries look like they're real cherries, I'm going to add a little C shape, like a half moon. And I'll show you why we did that later. Okay, half moon. All right, so our drawing is basically done. Now we're gonna work with the crayons or the pastels. So you can pick whatever colors you want. I'm gonna make this look like a cherry cake, so I'm gonna pick some colors like red, pink. I'm going to be using white, maybe purple. All right, so I'm going to start by coloring the cake. This is the frosting on the sides, on the outside. Mine is pink. All right, I'm gonna add a little bit of red to that. It's always nice to mix some colors. We gotta be careful. Make sure you're mixing colors that aren't going to turn brown. We talk a lot about that at school. But anytime a color is opposite on the color wheel, it will turn brown. So blue and orange will be brown. Red and green turns brown. And yellow and purple will be brown. All right, so stick with colors like blue and green and yellow, orange and red, pink and purple, okay? Or shades of each. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to finishing my coloring of the icing. Add some red to that. Just gives it a little bit more, makes it a little bit more exciting. All right, and top of the cake is also going to be pink. Add some red to that. And I think that's about all the pink I'm gonna do. All right, so now I'm gonna work on the icing. And I want this icing to look kind of like a lemony butter icing. So I'm going to use some yellow and some white. I'll let those two kind of mix together. Okay. Now remember when I was saying about Wayne Thiebaud, his cakes always had a lot of texture to them, and most of his paintings had texture, but with his, he was using paint, so you could see like the piles of paint, almost like he was actually icing a cake. But to make ours look like that, we can do the texture. You can make it look like that by using lines, okay, and adding different colors. Okay. I'm going to finish up this side. Kind of leaving little parts so that I can go back and add some yellow to that. And one of the nice things about these kind of pastels, these oil pastels or crayons, is that you can always overlap with them. Crayons you can't overlap as well, but crayons will overlap. You can mix them together, so you can give it a shot if that's what you're using. So there's my icing. If you want it whiter, go back, add more white. If it's good enough, leave it alone. All right, so then my next step is I'm gonna also do some icing in the middle here. Right in the middle. All right. And then I'm going to do the cherries on top. Remember I said I was going to tell you why I put these half moons. I'm going to give these cherries a shine to them so that they look a little more real. So that little half moon is going to be white. And I'm going to just color them in. Red. Red. Like this. And like this. Alright, and now for the inside of the cake, I am going to make mine chocolate. So I'm going to come in here with some brown. I know it looks kind of like a reddish color, but it's a good cake color. That's reddish brown. To add more icing up here. Oops, gotta peel this. More red on there. Okay. Back with my brown. All right. Don't forget this part right here, the plate now, because that chunk of cake is missing. That nice slice of cake. All right, so now to pick a color for the plate, I think I'm going to go with a nice blue color. So, and again, I'm going to use two different ones just to give it some texture. So this is going to be plate. When I was doing my research for Wayne Thiebaud, I learned that he grew up in California and that when he was a teenager, he actually worked on a boardwalk where he sold hot dogs and ice cream. So a lot of his paintings have something to do with his memories, and his memories from childhood, from his mom making some cakes for his birthday. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of green into this one. Again, this just gives it a little bit of texture. All right, so there's my plate. All right, so now there's a couple more things we're gonna do, but I'm gonna do the table, I'm gonna do the wall. Again, I'm gonna pick two colors. Table, I'm gonna go light green. I know it doesn't quite look like white green, but light green because that's what I'm working on a black piece of paper. And if you notice, I kind of color all in the same direction. Filling in the space, I'm going diagonal here. Light green, and then maybe I'll take a dark blue and just add a couple of lines. Kind of like what we were doing when we were making our Vincent van Gogh paintings. There's some lines in here. All right. Some dark blue. And for the wall in the background, I'm going to go with orange and maybe yellow. Same thing, going kind of at a diagonal. For this part of it, you don't really need to color hard because we want the cake to be the focus. So I colored this a lot harder, but this I'm just going light. And then for the other color, I'm gonna use a yellowish color. This time I'm gonna go in the opposite direction. It's kind of like a crisscross. Gives it a little bit of texture. Sets it apart from the cake. And, you know, with this background, you don't have to be such a perfectionist that, you know, you have all the spaces filled in. It looks fine if you see a little bit of black through it or white, if that's the color you're using. All right, so the last thing we're going to do, we're gonna make this look like the light is coming from over here and shining over here, all right? So if the light's coming over here, it is going to be bright on this side. So I'm going to put some white. And you can try this with crayons. See if it works. If it doesn't work, it's fine. It looks great the way it is. What else? So white there. I'm going to put a little bit of white here around the plate, since that's where the light's coming from. All right, and then I'm going to take a black, and the black, since the cake is here and the piece that's missing is here, it's going to be darker on this inside. So with my black, I'm doing the same direction, but I'm just gonna go and just darken up this side of the cake, because this is where, if the light's shining here, this would have a shadow in here. So I'm going to darken this up a little bit, and I'm even going to let that shadow cast a little bit onto this side too. All right, a little darker. All right, and then as you get over to this side, this cake is going to put a little shadow onto the plate. Kind of a round shadow, like this. You can draw it round. It's also going to have a shadow underneath because it's sitting, so make that a little darker under there. And there's going to be a shadow here on the plate and here. Doesn't it make it look like it really is sitting on this plate, right? And then the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little shadow underneath my cherries, sticking out over to the side there. Get them to look like they're... Now, I'm not outlining everything. That's one thing you don't want to do. If you outline everything, it's going to look like a cartoon. And we don't really want it to look like a cartoon. And I'm even going to put a little bit of a shadow under here, just because the icing's hanging over the top. All right, and then one more thing. So we have the cake sitting on top of the plate. The plate is sitting on top of the table. So again, and the light's shining over here. So again, we're gonna have a little bit of a shadow over here onto the table. Just like that. All right, and there you have it, our Wayne Thiebaud delicious looking cake. Thanks for joining.